Hi, welcome to the open chords lesson. In this lesson, I'm going to go over all the open chords, the major and minor, and then I'm going to go over some extra added tips. Here we go. Let's start with E minor. It's an easy chord because it's only 2 fingers. E minor is, you strum all 6 strings, and your index finger, your first finger, goes on the 5th string that's right next to the thickest string on the 2nd fret. Then your middle finger goes on to the next string, the D string, the 4th string, on the 2nd fret. And that's how you play an E minor chord. So it's all 6 strings, and you use your index and your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A and D strings. What you'll start to notice is you want to be as close to the fret as you can so that it doesn't buzz and so that the notes come out cleanly. And you can play with how much pressure you're putting down. Sometimes you may need to put less or more. So it's good to also pluck each string individually to make sure you can hear them all. Another problem area will be in the G string because it's right underneath your 2nd finger, your middle finger. So you have to get a nice kind of arc going so that your finger isn't bumping into the string below it. So that's why we're playing with the tips of our fingers so that we can get a nice curl going. And that's the basics of fretting a chord. Let's do a couple more. Let's do E major. So E major, it's basically E minor, but you add a note. So we're going to shift fingers. We're going to use our middle and ring finger and add our index finger. And this is E major. And so the fingering is middle finger, 2nd fret, A string. Ring finger, 2nd fret, D string. Index finger, 1st fret, G string. And strum all 6 strings. And remember to pluck them one at a time as well. In this chord we have a string underneath your finger twice. So your ring finger and your index finger are going to have to curl up away from the string below it. And same with your index finger. And then you can test them all out. And it might take a little while to get comfortable with them, but you'll get used to it. All right, next let's do A major. I like this one actually where you use your middle ring and pinky finger. You can use any fingering you'd like, whatever works for you, but I found this one to be handy. So I'm going to put my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and my pinky finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. And you strum from the 5th string on. And then you can check them all. And so you have one string where your finger has to curl up away from it, and it's from the B string to the E string. So make sure you have that nice arch and you're using the tip of your finger so that you're avoiding bumping into the next string. All right, next let's do A minor. A minor is also with 3 fingers, but 1 note moved. We went from the 2nd fret of the B string down to the 1st. And so basically it's fingered like this. Your middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the D string. Your ring finger is on the 2nd fret of the G string. And your index finger is on the 1st fret of the B string. And you strum from the A string on. All right, and we've got a few more. Next, let's go to D. D is 3 fingers. Your index finger goes on the 2nd fret of the G string. Your ring finger goes on the 3rd fret of the B string. And your middle finger tucks in the middle there on the 2nd fret of the E string. So this one has a treble spot where you have a string beneath your ring finger. So again, you want to use the tip of your ring finger and curl it away from that string so that you can play it cleanly. And always remember to check your strings. And this one you could strum from the 4th string on or the 5th string on. All right, so that was 6 chords. We did E minor using our index and middle fingers. You can also use your middle and ring fingers. And these different fingerings come in handy when you're switching different chord progressions. Some will work better going from one chord to the next than others. And we'll talk about that in a different video. So we have E minor, E major, A major, and A minor, D major, and D minor, our next chord. So D minor is with 3 fingers. It's with your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the E string. This one has a treble spot here where your ring finger has to curl away from the string beneath it. And you can strum this one from the 4th string or the 5th string. All right, 3 more chords: G, C, and F. Well, we'll get into, there's a few ways of doing F. We'll get there. So G. G, there's 2 kind of main ways of playing G. You can play it with 4 fingers and strumming all 6 strings, or 3 fingers. So we'll go over both. The 4-finger way goes like this: middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, index finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string, and pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So this chord, you know, it's common to kind of fret too far back on the low G note, so make sure you're close to the fret for both fingers, and keep your fingers curled so that you're not bumping into the string next to it. Okay, the other way of doing G is where you don't use your ring finger, or you don't press down on the B string. So it's 3rd fret of the E string, 2nd fret of the A string, open, 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 3 opens, and 3rd fret of the E string with your pinky or your ring finger. Another way of doing G that's really handy for going to C is using your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, and your pinky on the 3rd fret of the E string. So that brings us to C. C is with 3 fingers. It's with your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. This chord can be tough at first because all 3 of your fingers have a string ringing below them that you have to make sure you're curled away from. So just practice curling your fingers away using the tips of your fingers. You may have to trim your nails because you don't want them to get in the way of fretting. And check each string. It may take a little time, but eventually you'll get them, I'm sure. All right, let's go to F. F, there's a few different ways of playing it. The simplest is just with 3 fingers, and it's kind of like C, but your middle and ring finger move over 1 string. So your ring finger will be on the 3rd fret of the D string, your middle finger is on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger is on the 1st fret of the B string. And you can strum those 3 strings, the fourth, third, and second string, or you can add the A string too. Another way of playing F is barring with your index finger. The only thing is barring is tough at first because you're pressing down on 2 strings with 1 finger. So you have to go onto the 1st fret on both the C and, the note C and F. It's on the 2nd and 1st string, 1st fret. And you have to use kind of the flat part of your finger to press down. Then you add your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the D string. Another way of playing F is with 4 fingers. And you use your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, your pinky on the 3rd fret of the D string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your index finger on the 1st fret of the B string. Alright, that's 3 ways of playing F, and that's basically all your open, major, and minor chords. Have fun working them out, and we'll get into some cool things you can do with them all.